Good evening, you're watching Primetime News on NTV Sports. My name is Ravi Gamage.
And I'm Nicola D'Souza. Before we go into the news in detail, here's a look at tonight's headlines.
Inquiries to be made from all parties with regard to allegations of war crimes. A statement from Asma Jahangir, a member of the OHCHR investigation panel on Sri Lanka. Minister Vasudevan Nanayakkara says the war victory is not a strategy that can always be used. Landslide warnings issued for Kaluthara, Ratnapura, Kegaul, Kandy and Nuwara districts still in effect. Police sergeant sustains head injuries when a shot was fired in the lavatory at the Kurunegala police station. Vice Admiral Jayantha Pereira assumes duties as the 19th Commander of the Sri Lankan Navy.
On our top story for tonight, Asma Jahangir, a member of the UN Human Rights Council mandated investigation panel on Sri Lanka, says that she hopes to make inquiries from all parties with regard to allegations of war crimes and alleged human rights violations. A senior lawyer from Pakistan, Jahangir, made this statement in an interview with the BBC Sinhala service.
How would you describe the purpose and nature of this inquiry?
Our role is according to our mandate. We are basically supposed to be...
Primarily, there is the recommendation made via the High Commissioner to ensure the independence of the inquiry. This inquiry will be conducted into all parties that violated human rights impartially and fairly.
The Sri Lankan government has rejected cooperation with this inquiry. There are views that the Sri Lankan government will attempt to prevent any person within Sri Lanka from cooperating with this inquiry. Will this be an obstacle?
Well, it always is a problem when it comes to the question of account.
In terms of responsibility, it is an obstacle. I think the government will see the need to consider this.
What if the Sri Lankan government does not grant you a visa or prevents persons willing to give information from acting with the investigation team? How will you speak with people in Sri Lanka?
Let me just put it to you in this way, that there have been international inquiries.
I can tell you this. There have been prior international investigations which have been conducted without the cooperation of the government of that country. The inquiries were not halted as a result of the lack of cooperation. I believe that it will be very difficult for any government to stop people from talking about this. If the government attempts to prevent people from giving information, that would only serve to make the government's position worse.
Are you saying that you believe that you will be able to continue with the inquiry if the Sri Lankan government denies you a visa?
Because this is not the first UN inquiry.
I believe that. This is not the first UN investigation that I am participating in that has not had the cooperation of a government. In the end, when we receive a credible report, it will be considered an acceptable, independent report.
But the Sri Lankan Parliament has decided not to cooperate with this inquiry. Do you still hope to speak to them about this?
I think that we have to meet together in August and decide that. There is always a hesitation.
I believe we need to meet in August and arrive at a decision regarding this. Most of the time, governments do not approve of these things. In the end, instead of looking at the reasons for holding this inquiry, they will look at the cruelty of these incidents. At that point, they will understand that we are attempting to obtain information from people who are willing to give information, and not only from people who give evidence against the government. If anyone has evidence of anti-state activities, then we invite them to submit that evidence. I believe that will be essential to the independence of this investigation.
What sort of people will you speak to in order to obtain information?
We always talk to victims. That is absolutely essential.
We will definitely speak to the victim of the crime. That is definite. At the same time, we need to speak to the persons who had decision-making powers during the time crimes were committed in order to obtain their views. Certain persons may not come forward to speak about this. There are also people who come forward anonymously without divulging their names. It is our responsibility to safeguard their anonymity. We will speak to the fighters. If we do go to Sri Lanka, we will speak with the police. If not, then we will have to obtain information from parties such as non-government organizations, the media and civil society.
You have a very short time frame in which to complete your preliminary report.
Sometimes we have done that.
Yes, we must submit a report to the Human Rights Council in March next year. We will do our best to accomplish this. We have sufficient specialists at present to obtain credible information from both parties. If we are unable to complete the preliminary report, we will have to inform the Human Rights Council of this in March.
Excavations at a supposed mass grave in Kurukkal, Madambatiklo, have been postponed. Excavations were postponed after the Kalawanchikudi police made submissions to court today.
Court initially ordered that the suspected mass grave in Kurukkal Madam Kalawanchikudi be excavated on the 23rd of this month. However, the Kalawanchikudi police turned the attention of the court today to the fact that the excavation cannot be inspected by a single judicial medical officer alone. The police pointed out that a team of JMOs would have to be appointed and that expert assistance would have to be sought to conduct this excavation. The police said that after considering the submissions made, court postponed the excavation scheduled for today to the 18th of August.
Minister Vasudeva Nanayakkara says the war victory is not a strategy that can always be used. The Minister of National Languages and Social Integration made this statement at a media briefing convened in Colombo today. This media briefing was convened to raise awareness on the Social Integration Week that has been declared from the 14th to the 20th of July. Minister Vasudeva Nanayakkara expressed these views on recent incidents.
This view has been built upon the inaction of the government, the decisions of leaders in the government and failure to enforce the law in that moment. But the opposition is slamming the government for leisure. We are not saying that they do not have the right to do this, although they are people who are responsible for far greater incitement of criminalism. Gaining independence from the British was a historic moment, and it was touted as a good thing. Similarly, the defeat of the LTTE after 30 years was an equally historic moment. It is difficult to prevent people from constantly reiterating this. But what I say is that if we think that this is a strategy we can use all the time, then we are mistaken. Churchill was defeated after he won the war. It is not a victory, it is the end of a war. I will not call this a victory. I will call it the end of a tragic situation in this country, the finishing of the war in this country.
A group of asylum seekers believed to be Sri Lankan Tamils who were reportedly intercepted on a stricken fishing vessel off Christmas Island might be forcibly returned to South Asia by the Australian government. In an interview with Australian public broadcast ABC Radio today, Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott, while maintaining his government's silence on whether authorities had indeed intercepted such a boat and if in fact such a boat exists, said, "We are stopping the boats."
Prime Minister, is the government intending to try and get Sri Lanka to take a boatload of asylum seekers?
We are stopping the boats. That's what we're doing, Chris. We are stopping the boats. I'm not going to comment on the operational details of what happens on the water, but obviously we have been successful up till now. It's more than 6 months since a successful people smuggling venture made it to Australia, and that's a record that the government is determined to maintain if we possibly can.
It has now been several days since any civilian communication with the boat or its passengers. On Saturday, Ian Rintol, coordinating officer at the Refugee Action Coalition, an Australian refugee advocacy group, told Australian media that they had lost contact with the boat that morning. The Sydney Morning Herald reports that it is understood the 153 Tamil asylum seekers, all originally from Sri Lanka, left Pondicherry in southern India on a fishing trawler 17 days ago. According to Australian media, the last report from the vessel said it was running low on oil, about 175 nautical miles or about 300 kilometres off Christmas Island. Australian Immigration Minister Scott Morrison has refused to confirm the existence of the boat, nor would his office confirm any action taken by the Australian Customs vessel Ocean Protector. However, media reports say the vessel Ocean Protector was last seen off the coast of Christmas Island on Sunday, near where the refugee boat is believed to have been. Newsfirst bureau correspondent in Melbourne, Australia, Jason Kadaraman Pulle, has been closely monitoring the situation for us and joins us now with the latest.
Opposition parties and the refugee advocacy groups here in Australia are condemning the government's silence on the fate of this asylum seeker. According to the newspaper and web media reports here, refugee advocates believe that the boat and its passengers were intercepted by the Australian Navy and were then transferred to the customs vessel Ocean Protector, which is equipped to hold about 260 people. And Jason Kadaraman Pulle reporting to Newsfirst from Melbourne, Australia.
In a new development, speaking to Newsfirst today, Sri Lanka Navy media spokesperson Commander Kosala Warnakulasuriya, responding to an inquiry on unconfirmed reports in the Australian media that the asylum seekers had been handed over to Sri Lanka, refuted these reports, saying there had been no such handover. Newsfirst is closely monitoring the situation.
The magisterial hearing into the death of a youth in Baravavila Diulapitiya in police fire commenced at the Minuwangodu Magistrates Court today. Evidence pertaining to the case was submitted before Minuwangodu Magistrate D.A. Ruwan Pathirana today.
On the evening of the 23rd of this month, a youth identified as S.M. Kalum Subasinghe was killed in police fire. Attorney at law Thusethu Ruwan Gunasekharan, Assistant Superintendent of Police himself, represented the two police officers attached to the Diulapitiya police who are reportedly connected to the incident in court today. The legal team representing the aggrieved party, headed by the Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka Attorney at Law Ajith Pathirana and Bar Association Treasurer Upul Deshapriya, objected to the police officers being represented by an individual who holds the position of ASP in the police department. Counsel requested that copies of their objections be referred to the Supreme Court.
මෙහිදී සාක්ෂි කරුවන් 4 දිනකුගේ සාක්ෂි මෙහෙව්වා.
Evidence was heard from 4 witnesses. The evidence presented by the witnesses made it evident that the shooting was from a close range. He had been shot in the chest. The inquest is being held at present, and following the inquest, the magistrate will issue an order for a hearing on the 8th of July.
Now taking a look at one of our headline stories tonight. The landslide warnings that were issued for 5 districts are still in effect. The landslide warning was issued for the Kalutara, Ratnapura, Kegal, Kandy and Nuwara districts.
The Disaster Management Centre says that if the areas of risk continue to receive rains, there may be earth slips and rock slides. The Kotmale and Ambagamo Korale areas in the Nuwara district have been identified as areas at risk, along with all divisional secretariat areas in the Kandy district. Warnings have also been issued for the Kegal, Daraniyagala, Yatiyantota, Bulatko, Upitiya, Deyovita and Ruwanwala divisions in the Kegal district. The Agalawatha, Matugama, Palindu Nuwara, Wallalawita, Bulat Singhala and Horana divisions in the Kalutara district have also been listed as landslide and rockslide prone areas.
The Wet Department is forecasting rains in the coming days for several areas, with the southwest monsoon system becoming active. Joel Outscoon joins us with the details.
The Met Department says that several parts of the island will experience rainfalls tomorrow as well, along with the onset of the southwestern monsoon. The department is forecasting rainfall in excess of 100 millimeters in parts of the western, Sabaragamu and central provinces, as well as the Gaul and Mathura districts. Now, the department is forecasting wind speeds in the deep and shallow sea areas from the coast from Mannar to Pothuwil via Colombo to Gaul could reach up to 70 to 80 kilometers per hour. The department has also issued a special weather warning to the fishermen who are setting out to sea to be cautious along with the inclement weather conditions. Meanwhile, one person was killed when a gem mine collapsed in Rajawatha, Rakwana owing to the heavy rain. The shaft of a gem mine in the Rajawatha area in Rakwana collapsed as a result of a heavy downpour, claiming the life of a 38-year-old resident of Rajawatha. His body is currently lying at the Rakwana hospital.
You're watching Primetime News. President Mahinda Rajapaksa has appointed members to the Public Service Commission for the next 3 years. The appointments took place at Temple Trees this evening. Retired Supreme Court Justice Satya Hettige has been appointed as the chairperson of the commission. The commission also comprises of S.C. Manna Peruma, Anand Senviratna, N.H. Patirana, S. Tilvanadaraja, S.M. Mohammed Nahia, Kanti Vijayatunga, Sunil S. Sirisena and consultant Dr. I.N. Soisa Gunasekara.
Meanwhile, 2 new High Commissioners and 3 new ambassadors presented their credentials to President Mahinda Rajapaksa at the President's office today. New Zealand's High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Graham Morton, Maldivian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Zahia Zarir, Jordanian Ambassador to Sri Lanka Mahmoud Mohammed Al-Joum, Bhutan's Ambassador to Sri Lanka Pema Chodron, and Bosnia and Herzegovina's Ambassador to Sri Lanka Sabit Sabiks presented their credentials today. The presidential media unit said that after accepting the diplomats' credentials, the President had briefed them on the post-war progress Sri Lanka has achieved. The President also emphasized that following the eradication of terrorism, resources were provided, infrastructure facilities were restored, and an election was held for the Northern Province after 28 years.
Still in local news, the police said that a number of important information in connection to the shooting that took place in Endrigevatte in Grand Pass that claimed the lives of 2 persons has come to light.
The bodies of the 2 persons who were killed in the shooting that took place at around 8 p.m. on the 29th of June have been placed in their homes. The police say that the post-mortem examinations had confirmed that the deaths were caused by the gunshot wounds. The deceased are 28-year-old Uswatage Janit Chamara, who is a father of 1, and 26-year-old Subasingha Arachige Kavinda Kalum, who was married at the time of death.
He helped Abe, he helped Duminda as well. He packed up the vehicles that were sent for meetings.
33-year-old Shashi Kumar and 27-year-old Chamara Sampath Rodrigo, who were critically wounded in the shooting, are currently receiving treatment at the National Hospital. Deputy Director of the hospital, Dr. Cyril De Silva, said that they are still in a critical condition. The suspects who carried out the shooting had fled the area in a stolen 3-wheeler after abandoning their motorbike, which had fallen into a drain at the crime scene. The police say that the 3-wheeler was found today abandoned near the expressway in Paliagoda. According to the police, the owner of the motorbike was found to be a student of the Peradeniya University. The student had travelled from Peradeniya to Sapugaskanda to meet a friend on the 6th of September 2013 in the same motorbike. His motorbike had been stolen while he was at his friend's residence. The police said that an entry had been lodged with the Sapugaskanda police regarding that incident. While the owner's statement was recorded today, investigations are underway to look into how the shooters had acquired the said motorbike. Last evening, the police also ascertained that the registration number on the motorbike was fraudulent.
A special team appointed by the Kurunagala ASP has commenced investigations into an incident where a police sergeant was shot in the head in a washroom in the Kurunagala police station. The police officer was hospitalized and hospital sources said that he was out of danger.
The incident had occurred at around 8:30 am today, and the victim was later identified as Susil Jayasundara, a sergeant attached to the Kurunagala police station. The 52-year-old father of 3 was a resident of the Arankal area in Gokaralla. According to the police, he was stationed as the sub-officer for the miscellaneous complaints unit last evening. The sergeant was due to complete his duties at 5:55 am this morning. The police added that the last complaint had been lodged at around 9:45 pm at the miscellaneous complaints unit, and the sergeant had been in the station till next morning. 4 officers, including the sergeant, had been rostered for duty this morning in the Kurunagala town. The police say that he had sent the other officers on duty and had stayed back, saying that he had to use the male washroom. The police added that this was after he had signed on the logbook of the officers who were on duty in the Kurunagala town. The police sergeant, who was found in the male washroom, had a bullet wound to his forehead and was admitted to the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital.
A police officer has been admitted to the hospital following an incident that happened in the morning. His condition is not that critical. All the required treatments are being carried out by the hospital. We hope to transfer him to the Colombo National Hospital if the need arises.
The police say that the sergeant has served in the police department for 25 years and that there have been no issues with regard to his service record. He took up duties at the Kurunagala police station on the 4th of January this year and had been serving at the Kantale police station prior to this posting.
Vice Admiral Jayantha Pereira assumed duties as the 19th Commander of the Sri Lankan Navy this morning. A special ceremony was held at the Sri Lankan Navy headquarters this morning to mark the appointment.
A special event was organised at the headquarters of the Sri Lanka Navy for the new Navy commander to assume duties. Religious observances too were conducted. Afterwards, former Navy Commander Admiral Jayanath Kolumge handed over duties to the newly appointed Commander, Vice Admiral Jayantha Pereira.
මම අවුරුදු 37ක් නාවික හමුදාවේ සේවය කරා. මං හිතන්නේ මම තමයි
I have served in the Sri Lanka Navy for 37 years. I believe that I am the longest serving Navy officer to be appointed Commander of the Navy. My predecessors have served in the Navy for a lesser period of time. Previously, I served as the media spokesperson. Back then, the political environment in the country was not good. You are aware that the three armed forces battled a 30-year-long war. The Sri Lanka Navy developed in the face of the challenges posed by the LTTE. A Navy has a great responsibility.
නාවික හමුදාව මේ අවුරුදු 30ක යුද්ධයක් තිබ්බා. දියුණු වුණේ ඒ LTTE එකේ තර්ජනවලට මුහුණ දෙන්න. නමුත් හමුදාවක් හැටියට ගත්තොත් එහෙම නාවික හමුදාවකට ලොකු වගකීමක් තියෙනවා.
An old boy of Thurston College, Colombo, Vice Admiral Jayantha Pereira joined the Sri Lanka Navy in 1978. Vice Admiral Jayantha Pereira obtained master's degrees in defence studies and defence and strategic studies from the Madras University and the Islamabad University and received further training at the American Naval College in Hawaii. Vice Admiral Jayantha Pereira, who has served on board several vessels of the Sri Lanka Navy, including the Navy boat Syra, served as the commanding officer of the Western and Southern Naval areas and as the Deputy Commanding Officer in the Eastern Naval Area in 2006.
A program to provide rations to mosques in Colombo for the Islamic holy month of Ramadan commenced today.
This program was conducted under an overarching project of the Colombo Municipal Council to provide provisions to religious centres located in Colombo. Rations were provided to 70 mosques under the auspices of the Mayor of Colombo, AJM Muzammil. We commenced this program by providing rations to Buddhist temples. We provided rations to 100 temples this year as well as last year. We commenced this program to bring about some sort of development in our municipality. I may be a Muslim mayor, but I was not appointed for my religion, race or ethnicity. Such is our municipality. When we provide our services, we do not segregate according to religion, race or ethnicity. This unity is very important to us. The majority of Buddhist monks and the Mahasangha too have understood this.
Muslim ජනතාවට යම් සුළු පිරිසකගේ මම දකිනවා මේක ජාත්‍යන්තර කුමන්ත්‍රණයක් හැටියට.
The Minister of Health Maithripala Sirisena notes that attention has been drawn into instances where tourists undergo free treatment from local hospitals. The Minister made this statement addressing an event held last evening.
The event was held to declare open a new doctor's clinic and a neonatal unit at the Nuwara General Hospital. A major problem has arisen. The free health service is open to citizens of Sri Lanka. However, today foreigners from neighbouring countries are coming here, and since they look like us, they get themselves admitted to hospitals and undergo free treatment and sometimes even major operations and disappear. Last week I instructed the Ministry Secretary and the Director General to immediately issue a circular. We must immediately act, not at the outpatients department but in hospital admissions, to make it compulsory for patients to produce their national identity card or passport or other identification proving that they are Sri Lankan citizens.
The regional workshop on space technology applications for drought monitoring and early warning commenced in Colombo today. Speaking at the event, Minister Patali Champika Ranawaka said that a proposal for an Earth observation satellite has been submitted to the government.
The workshop is organized by the Arthur C. Clarke Institute for Modern Technologies in collaboration with the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. Sri Lanka has been selected as the pilot country for the implementation of this workshop. The objective of the initiative is to review regional drought mechanisms and its operations.
One such important initiative that would mark an important milestone in the development space technology capabilities of Sri Lanka is the design, development and launch of a small Earth observation satellite. The project proposal developed by the Arthur C. Clarke Institute for Modern Technology for this purpose has already been submitted to the government, and the project activities should commence as soon as the fund allocations are finalized.
In business news this evening, The security system Bank CSIRT or Banking Sector Computer Security Incident Reporting Team intended to safeguard banks and financial institutions from cyber attacks and online financial fraud was launched today. The launch of the security system was held at the John Exeter International Conference Hall at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
The launch was held under the auspices of the Secretary to the President Lalit Weeratunga and the Governor of the Central Bank Ajit Niwad Cabral.
Over the years, I have seen the number of attacks increasing. So it's extremely important that we start protecting our financial data, because no one would want, say, a billionaire or someone in this country. There are many. I'm thankful about it. I'm very happy about it. His money to be transferred into someone's account will be a grave crime. So we need to be protecting all this. So therefore, having the Sri Lanka CERT as well as the CSIRT for the banking sector is, I think,
And on to sports news. The England and Wales Cricket Board, or ECB, announced a life ban on disgraced former New Zealand cricketer Lou Vincent today, just hours after the player admitted that he was a cheat and had shamed his country and the sport by fixing matches.
The 35-year-old is cooperating with anti-corruption officials from both the ICC and the England and Wales Cricket Board relating to allegations of spot fixing. Vincent, who played 23 tests and 102 one-day internationals for New Zealand, was charged by the ECB under their anti-corruption code in May and is expected to receive a life ban from the sport. Vincent said that he had reached the point where he had to come forward and tell the truth.
My name is Lou Vincent and I am a cheat. I've abused my position as a professional sportsman on a number of occasions by choosing to accept money in fixing. I have lived with this dark secret for so many years, but months ago I reached the point where I decided I had to come forward and tell the truth. It's a truth that has rightly caused uproar and controversy in New Zealand and around the world. I've shamed my country, I've shamed my sport, I've shamed those close to me, and for that I'm not proud. I lost faith in myself and the game. I abused the game I love. I had to put things right. Speaking out, exposing the truth, laying bare the things I have done wrong is the only way I can find to begin to put things right. The time has come for me now to face them like a man and accept the consequences, whatever they may be. I accept my punishment, and thank you for listening to my statement.
Moving on to some football news. When it comes to the knockout stages of the World Cup, wins are worth more than style. A late Paul Pogba header and an own goal from Joseph Yobo saw France to a 2-0 win over Nigeria and a place in the World Cup quarter-finals. And Germany laboured to a 2-1 extra-time win over aggressive Algeria's side to reach the tournament's quarter-finals for the 9th consecutive time.
Third game of the France's forward line had made headlines with 8 goals in its opening 2 group games, but there was little flower on display in a hard-fought contest against the African champions.
Matt didn't get the passing right on that occasion.
Nigeria, which had a goal ruled out for offside in the 19th minute after Emmanuel Emenike poked home Ahmad Musa's cross from the left, wasted a lot of second-half possession.
That danger was very Yobo. Here is stick, and Yema can't get there.
Paul Pogba's goal in the 79th minute followed Nigeria's best spell of the match and came soon after France goalkeeper Hugo Lloris made a crucial save to deny Peter Odemwingie. Joseph Yobo, who announced his international retirement after the game, turned the ball into his own net in stoppage time under pressure from France substitute Antoine Griezmann.
It's almost at standing space at the moment, and Griezmann has got the second. That's France. They're happy enough with the final scoreline. 2-0. They've beaten Nigeria.
Germany booked a quarter-final meeting with France after extra-time strikes from Andre Schürrle and Mesut Ozil saw them edge past Algeria to win 2-1 in Porto Alegre.
Andre Schürrle!
Germany took the lead in extra time when Thomas Müller provided a cross from the left flank that was slightly behind Schürrle. The German forward dragged his left leg and backheeled the ball into the far corner, leaving goalkeeper Reis Mboli with no chance.
Rahimi.
Özil then wrapped things up late on from close range when he blasted home after Schürrle's effort was initially scrambled off the line. But second half substitute Abdul Mumin Jabo did manage to pull one back for Algeria late on with a powerful volley.
But it is surely too late. Slimani with it.
Well, that's a wrap of your Live at 55s for tonight. Thank you for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola De Souza.
And I'm Ravi Gamage. Good night.